Welcome to the Tonight Show. We've got a great show for you tonight. Oliver Cromwell, self-proclaimed British military dictator. What's that? Huh? Oh, I'm sorry. My producers are telling me to call him a leader. Is on the show tonight. Also, we have the legendary expansionist, Peter the Great, is on the show. You're going to love our musical guest. His style is Baroque, but he don't need to fix it. Bach is here. Now, please give a warm welcome to our first guest tonight, the monarch toppler himself, Oliver Cromwell. So, Mr. Cromwell, how have you been?
I've been great. Not as great as Peter, of course, but all's well in the Commonwealth. I think people are really beginning to enjoy this new government system.
Yeah, that's right. You got rid of a government that's been in existence in England for a long time. That's no easy feat. How'd you do it?
Well, I first became involved with our country's parliament when I became an MP in 1628.
MP?
Yes, a member of parliament. I represented my hometown of Huntington, but as you know, Charles dissolved the parliament 2 years after... I represented my hometown of Huntington, but as you know, Charles dissolved the parliament soon after I was elected, and we didn't meet again until 1640. In fact, the only reason we were recalled was so that he could get funding for the bishops' wars in Scotland. I really didn't like the way he disrespected his elected body. 2 years later, in 1642, I was called to serve again, this time as an officer in the Parliamentary Army, also known as the New Model Army, where we worked to defeat Charles in our country's civil war. Over time, I rose up the ranks in the army, we defeated our monarch, and well, you know how that turned out for him.
That's great. That's amazing. A round of applause for that. Congratulations. So, tell me, what is the Protectorate, or the Commonwealth, if you will? Some say you've basically become a dictator. Is that true?
Well, let's relax here. Charles was a bad man. He needed to go, and what I did was for the country,
No, you're getting off topic
and...
here, though. I mean, please answer my question, Lord Protector. Are you a dictator?
Look, I do what I do for the country. It's not for myself. I love the people. There's so many great people in England. And if it turns out that what's best for the country is a dictator, that's what I'll be. And if I don't think the Parliament's doing a good job, I'll dissolve it. That's just the nature of the beast. I do what I do because God wants me to do it.
Hold on. So you went after Charles I for relying too much on his justification of power from God and abusing it because of this. And at the same time, you say you don't believe in divine right. I recall you making a similar claim to the divine power God has given you. Are you really ruling for God, or is it just for your own glory? You come from a wealthy family. Why not just retire and live a nice civilian life?
Look, I would have been glad to live under my woodside and to have kept a flock of sheep rather than to undertake this government, but something compels me to lead. Maybe it's my faith, and maybe it's my military success. Whatever it is, I'm a man of faith and duty. You may recall I left Cambridge to help my mother and my sisters after my father died, or how I protect the pastors from my predecessors' religious policies. And now I'm protecting England from the institution of the monarchy, so don't question my motives.
All right. Now this may seem embarrassing, but I just don't get how the Protectorate works. Could you explain?
Well, so I'm the leader, of course, and then there's the Parliament, the Rum Parliament, which has executive and legislative powers, and a Council of State, which is smaller than the Parliament, that has some executive powers. And as Lord Protector, I serve on both.
Fair enough, sir. Thank you.
And as a Council of State that has some executive powers, I'm a member of both as Lord Protector, and I share power with them.
Huh, okay. So, now let's talk about some of your policies. Do you think they have longevity? Will the Commonwealth exist beyond your death?
Time will tell. I mean, I'd like to think that my life's work will last after I die. Look, just in terms of religion, I've made some effective changes. England's now a much safer place for people of all religions, well, besides the Catholics.
Of course.
Jews are returning to England, we've cut down on the bureaucracy in the Church of England, and I'm trying to promote a culture of religious toleration, besides the Catholics.
Of course.
And I've also pursued some judicial reforms. I strongly believe that less severe crimes deserve less severe punishments, and that's exactly what I've done. Now only murder, treason, and rebellion are subject to capital punishment.
Wow, you've been busy. He's put a lot of work into this. Another round of applause. That's, again, not an easy thing to do. But I have to ask for my last question. What's your deal with the Irish?
It's a sad situation, but they should have known what's coming their way. Yes, I may have confiscated the Catholic-owned land there and led a campaign of sorts against the Loyalists, but it's all in the best interest of England.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. You've been great. We're going to have a quick break, and we'll be back with the Tsar himself. Welcome back to the show. I'm a little behind on things right now. Oliver, would you mind if I caught up on some thank you notes?
Fine by me.
Would you guys mind? No? Okay, great. Hey, Bach, would you give me some music for this? Awesome. All right, thanks. All right. Thank you, Peter the Great, for shaving the beards of every noble in Russia. Not only have you started a new trend, but Gillette sales are through the roof. Thank you, Oliver Cromwell, for being so hated by your people that after you died from malaria, they dug you up and beheaded you because you dying once wasn't good enough.
What is this? I never knew about
Oh, shoot. Spoilers. That hasn't happened yet. Sorry. Yeah, just don't worry about it. Thank you, Peter the Great, for having more names than the amount of years you ruled Russia. All right, thank you guys very much. It has been Thank You Notes. We'll be right back with Peter the Great. Hey, welcome back to the show. Next up, we have the Tsar of Russia himself, Peter the Great. Hey, Peter, how you doing? Okay, all right. So, how goes it, Peter?
Please, Peter the Great.
Oh, of course, you want to be called by your full name.
Well, if you want to call me by my full name, it's actually, my full name is, by the grace of God, the most excellent and great sovereign prince of Alexievich.
Okay,
We're a lot more
just-
modest in England, you know.
Wait,
I
wait,
let you
wait.
call me Mr.
Oliver, let's not
I
lose
love
our
you.
head over something like
You
this.
know what? I'm done. I'm leaving.
No, I didn't mean it like that. Wait, why are you taking the table?
I'm Lord Protector. I can do what I want.
Let's see who's a world power in 20 years.
Hey, let's get back on course. Mr. Great, you're-
Please, it could be Emperor. I want to seem a
Right,
little bit European.
okay, Mr. Emperor, if you will. You're an absolutist, right? You have seized complete power in your country, but how do you maintain it?
Well, I am what I am, but I'm in the process of strengthening our central government and reducing the power of our nobility. Not only have I reorganized my army according to Western standards, administered control over these religious orthodox and the grip the peasants have, and these traditionalist things that are keeping Russia behind, but I've effectively forced the nobles to work for the betterment of Russia. And that's what we want, everyone working to make Russia great again.
Okay. And now, Peter, your shoes look a little worn. Is it from crushing all of those rebellions?
Well, indeed, the deeply pious and conservative peasants saw my attempts to westernize Russia as an attack on their Western way of life. They label me as Antichrist, yet what they fail to realize is that I will show them, and I will show Russia into the modern. I will show them those who will change and those who will innovate the world. So, have I crushed rebellions? Indeed, I have.
So you've killed your own people?
But, Cameron, let's stick to the facts. The Bulgarian rebellion in which I killed many Cossacks and Russian peasants, they were threatening the stability of our country and of Russia and of the Tsardom. And this cannot happen.
All right, I'll take your word for it. So Russia has grown a lot under your reign. I mean, it was this big, and now it's like this big. How did you achieve this growth?
Well, you know, I'm a tough man, Cameron. I've come and I've undergone conflicts with Persia, with the Ottomans, and with Sweden. And I want to be a global, and I want Russia to be a global player on a global stage. I want Russia to be as important as Europe.
Fair enough. And speaking of the West, it's no secret you love the West. You visited every major European city and used them for inspiration. How have you implemented this culture into your society?
Well, It's my desire to reform my subjects. If I didn't reform my subjects, my power would be in question. The Renaissance and the Reformation have loosened the grips that the medieval church had on Europe and created an environment where independent and philosophical scientific inquiry thrives. And I want this to happen in Russia. And I will break the bonds of the religious orthodoxy that still exists and the peasants who stick to their folkway traditions. I will break these bonds.
Okay. And how about the process of creating St. Petersburg? What was the main purpose behind the project?
Well, you know, it's going to be beautiful. We want the city to be a light. We want the city to have the light of Europe. We want it to be almost as European as we can. We want it to be the most westernized society in Russia. And that's our goal. We want to be great like Europe.
Of course, I mean, you really love Europe. I mean, you went to the West and Protestant Europe surrounded by new civil and political rights of men like constitutions, Bill of Rights, and parliaments, though you returned to Russia not determined to share power with your people. Why?
That makes me angry right there, and I can't hear that because you know what? I've changed and I've reformed my subjects. For example, a lot of my subjects shave now. I shave my nobles every day. Every day in the morning I go and shave them. But if I give, to answer your question, if I give too many rights to my citizens, they will question my power. If I give them guns, they will come and destroy what I have built. They will destroy St. Petersburg, and they will destroy the legitimacy of our country. And if we truly want to be westernized, we have to be able to control those who want to not have control. And ultimately, power comes at the tip of a sword.
Fair enough. Well, thank you so much for being on the show tonight.
It's my pleasure.
All right.
Thank you, everyone.
And you've been a wonderful audience tonight. To close out the show, we've got music from the Baroque man himself, Bach. Thank you so much, everybody, and have a great night.